Welcome to the Drake Shake, a polar podcast hosted by seasoned Antarctica expedition guide Neil Drake. With over 10 seasons guiding and 1,000 days spent on the ice, Neil will be joined by fellow guides and industry experts to share their years of experience and knowledge to help you make the most informed decision when planning your once-in-a-lifetime adventure. From picking the right itinerary to deciding when to go, we will cover it all. The Drake Shake is brought to you by Antarctica Travel Group and Let'sGoPolar.com. Now, here's your host, Neil Drake, with this week's episode.
Welcome back to a new episode of the Drake Shake podcast. My name is Neil Drake and I'll be your host. And today we are also joined by my co-host, Nikki. Where are you? What is going on?
I'm in Argentina. I'm in Puerto Madryn. I am having a fantastic time and I just spent the day walking along the coast. It's really, really cool.
You are leaving when? When does your trip start?
April 1st. So about a week from now. I'll be in Ushuaia and I'll be getting on a boat and I'm very excited for that.
Nikki is heading on a 33-day trip. If you listen to the last episode, Nikki's on her way to go to a 33-day trip with Ocean Wide. Oh, she's so excited.
I'm so excited.
South Georgia,
I cannot wait to. Yeah, I'm going to try to do some scuba diving along the way, and I'm really looking forward to that.
We're going to miss you for 33 days. You're a bit of a rock star, which is going to lead us into our next guest. Super excited to introduce our guest today. She's a really good friend of ours. She's also, we have so much history together. Sarah Scott, welcome to the show. How are you, Sarah?
Hey, Neil. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Are you ready for this?
I don't know. Am I ready for this? This is my first time, so
I think you're ready.
I'm ready to rumble. Let's do it.
I mean, in terms of like episode guests, you know, we try to get the best and the brightest in their fields. And when it comes to our topic today, there is nobody better than you. So we're really excited.
Don't make me blush. You're making me blush, Neil.
It's okay. It's just audio. The people can't see that you're blushing.
Okay, perfect. Yes.
Today.
I'm excited to talk about this today. Absolutely.
This is gonna be a really fun episode. I'm already feeling the energy right now. All right. Today's episode is about early bird booking versus last minute booking. Sarah, before we jump into it, I do like to start every episode with go ahead, Nikki, you can say it this time.
Oh my God, yay. So Neil likes to start every episode with a bit of a cold opener. Get it?
It's so good. It felt so good hearing you say it.
It felt so good saying it, actually. I see why you like it.
So a little bit of a cold opener. So Sarah, you own and operate what I think the whole industry considers the powerhouse of the last minute market. You have pretty much taken it to a whole new level. You've been doing it for how long?
2013. So 13 years. I think we just finished season 13 with Freestyle.
And I think the best part about it is, hey, Nikki.
Yeah, Neil.
When you booked your trip, who'd you book through?
I booked through Freestyle. Not ATT.
And Sarah, what's the name of your travel agency?
Freestyle Adventure Travel.
So you might have got the booking, but I won Nikki.
Guys, it's not a competition. There's enough of me to
It's a marathon. It's a marathon, not a sprint, Neil.
For those at home who don't know, Nikki works in my office now. Nikki is one of my sales girls, and she's an absolute rock star. Nikki applied and had zero experience whatsoever. I got about 200 applications when I was hiring a salesperson. Nikki has never been in sales. She's never been in customer service. And when I posted up in the Facebook group, I got a comment from Nikki saying, I'd like to be considered. And I was looking through resumes and stuff. And all of a sudden, I started getting text messages and comments on the Facebook post saying, Nikki's the right person for the job. She's awesome. She can make friends with a rock. Nikki was on my trip. She's awesome. I was like, all right, worthy of an interview. If you have a bunch of people messaging you, then there's got to be something good about you. You can teach sales, but you can't teach that personality. So
it's all about good feels when you hire people. You gotta have that good feeling. So
Nikki booked through Sarah's agency. So
I did, but I did what happened was I reached out to you and I said, I have this other offer with this other agency. This is the price that they're offering me. Can you beat it? And you said, we don't compete within the industry like that. You have a good deal. Go with that company. It just felt like a really cool ethical practice to be like, nope, you've got a good one. We're not going to undercut it. I thought that was really lovely.
It's a good point because a lot of people know that we have our own travel agency as well. We own and operate our own travel agency. So people are probably wondering, why do you have another travel agency on your show right now? Like, why would you have one of your competitors on your show? I want people to understand that we work more cooperatively in this industry than we do competitively. It's in everybody's favor for the most part for agencies like myself, Sarah's agency. There's a couple other agencies that we communicate with on a daily basis. And I want to make sure that we also emphasize Sarah and I communicate on a personal level, way more on a professional level, because they are literally friends and families of ours. They were like invited to my wedding and they couldn't make it. I go fishing with her husband all the time. Every time I get off the ship in Ushuaia, I swing by their office and have a coffee with them. Her kids and I have like inside jokes and handshakes.
My son Lucas thinks Neil is the coolest person on the planet. When are we going to see Neil Drake again? When are we going to see Neil Drake again?
To Nikki's point, the second you told me you had a deal, I knew it was coming from Sarah. And they are really like one of the best in the industry, if not the best in the industry at these kinds of things. And we get this all the time where Sarah will text me and she'll be like, hey, a client's telling us that you're giving them this price for this trip. Is that true? And I'm like, no, we never offered that price. And it's just somebody's trying to put us against each other to price match and get deals. Or same thing. I'll be like, hey, Sarah, did you give somebody this deal or this? And she'll be like, no, they're playing us. So you guys think you're being sneaky back at home, but I promise you, we are on top of it. We are way on top of it.
We've been sneaky much longer. Since 2013.
We have been doing this a long time. We've seen and heard it all.
Sarah, Freestyle Adventure Travel, you guys are down in Ushuaia. You had the bunker. That was the name of your the first building you had down there. It was always fun to get off the ship and go hang out at the bunker. We could sit here and we could banter for a million years, but I do want to hop into today's episode. When we're putting out episodes for this podcast, I'm trying to do it in a sense of chronologically the process or the thought process that people have when they're planning. First episode was when to visit Antarctica. Second episode is South Georgia worth it? And this episode, whether you should book early with an early bird discount or wait till a last minute discount, is right there in succession of starting to plan your trip. I think that the biggest thing when it comes to early bird versus last minute is people just want to save the money. That's the number one thing that people are starting to think about when they book last minute. They're going to get a much better deal.
It's a big trip. It's a lot of money any way you go. So you want to try to figure out to do it the best way you can for your budget. I mean, regardless, however you go, it's a big investment.
Have you noticed in the last few seasons that the trend is swinging more to an early bird market than it is to a last minute market?
I think that the market is changing a lot, as is the industry. You know, the Antarctica industry has grown so much since I started working in it. And since COVID, the deals have fluctuated a lot, but we're getting a lot more earlier discounts because then things are full. Companies don't want to wait till the last minute to discount. So they're trying to push deals earlier so they don't have to drop them at the last minute.
That's exactly what we are noticing too, is that it's kind of a pain in the butt for companies to deal with these last minute peer deals now because there's paperwork involved and there's a lot of logistics involved in it. And also companies just don't want to take the risk. So I think we're seeing what we used to see in the early bird market would be like 2-3 weeks out. You would get these crazy deals. You're seeing those same deals now 12, 14, even 20 weeks in advance now. I think companies are just putting those deals out much earlier.
You know what I have to deal with though, Neil? It's called dynamic pricing. You know, technology has caught up to the Antarctic industry. And so we really see that they look at how much inventory they have. They look at percentages. And in the summer, so we're talking 4 or 5 months before the season, if a trip has space, they go ahead and give it a good discount ahead of time. So there's sort of a new window, I think, for getting a good deal. It's not last minute, but it's maybe 4 to 6 months out for these departures that companies are trying to get rid of space early.
100% agree. And I think that there's a big issue with the past seasons setting a precedent for these seasons that are coming up, where people are seeing blog posts and Facebook posts and they're hearing from their friends. I got
the old days that doesn't exist anymore.
I showed up to Ushuaia and I got a $3,000 deal and it was, no, those days are gone.
So post-COVID, there was one crazy season that there was really cheap stuff because there were new ships and there were crazy things happening. That was 2022. Those days are gone. The $3,000 trip, it was a blip in history and it's been gone. I used to tell people it was possible to wait till the last minute and get a trip for like $4,500. And that's just wasn't true this year. I don't think it's going to happen next year. Every Antarctica season's different, but the trend is definitely away from those kind of deals.
Yeah. That's something that we run into a lot, that I see a lot, is people messaging us and saying, oh, I have a friend who went for $4,500. I have a friend who went for $4,000. I saw a YouTube video that someone went for $3,000. So I'm going to keep waiting. I'm going to keep waiting. I'm going to keep waiting. And then this season, anyway, the prices just didn't happen. And so we had a lot of people just disappointed and say like, oh, well, I guess I'll have to wait until next year. Okay, that's fine. Probably won't happen next year either. But I mean, obviously there's no guarantee. I don't know.
You know, I think it's important that people understand if you want to wait for a last minute deal, regardless, you're rolling the dice a little bit, right? You're deciding that I'm just going to wait and see. I don't care about what ship I'm going on. I don't care about activities. I'm happy with whatever I can get. And I think that if you're okay with that, maybe it's going to work out. But of the last few years, just haven't gone that low.
Let's start to like talk about the people who are booking these trips and start to think about which group of people will fit better versus booking early bird versus booking last minute, because there are a lot of advantages to both. But what we're talking about right now is I think all those advantages have sort of slid toward the early bird market. And there are a lot of benefits that come to an early bird booking. Let's kind of go over those. One, you mentioned the activities, you mentioned the ship, right? When you start looking early bird, especially in this market where things are filling up so much faster, you're going to get your choice much more than you will if you wait
Neil,
last minute.
If somebody says to me, I want to go camping in Antarctica, I say, well, then you need to book early because camping's going to be full if you wait till last minute, just to sort of as a starting point. So if there's some activity that you really want to do, whether it's kayaking or camping or you're going to go snowshoe, you probably need to book ahead of time because the chances that that's going to be available last minute are very low.
And people might be willing to give up those activities to save a bit of money. But also, I don't think the spread between the early bird market and the last minute market is as dramatic as it was in the past. It's not like 5% off early bird and then 50% off last minute. I think the spread has really closed between the two markets. Are you seeing sort of the same thing?
I definitely think they've gotten closer. You know, the old school early bird, like you said, would be like 10 to 15% off. And then the last minute would be 60% off, you know, and there was nothing in the middle of that. And I think now what's happened is that there is a middle ground. Companies are looking at their availability and they're doing a 25% off discount or a 35% off discount. And those discounts, if you can get, you know, book your flights early, you can book your activities, you can get everything organized for your trip, you're probably coming out about the same as the last minute. That might be a 50% off, you know, 15 more percent, but you booked your flights last, you couldn't get this, you couldn't get that. So it's definitely changed.
Money you're saving on the flights, the money you're saving on the hotel. Also, people who are into rewards bookings, who want to book with points, you're better off getting your rewards flights earlier. I also think that if you book early and you are able to take advantage of things like points programs, you could get additional credit cards that line up with the point program that you're looking to be a part of. And you say, oh, okay, this airline has the best flight available for me. If I book my trip now, I can get the 70,000 point bonus plus the miles. Next thing you know, you've got free flights to and from South America.
Right. Yeah.
Whereas if you book them last minute, you don't have the leeway to do that. So even if you're saving money on the trip itself, you might actually not come out as on top as you think you are if you're having to add all of these additional costs. Things like booking, if you want to visit Patagonia or anywhere else, booking things like the W Trek, booking Iguazu Falls or anything like that. You're also going to want to have a little more time to plan those because those domestic flights, those are also going to be more expensive. Those hotels are going to not have as much availability.
If you're a planner, you gotta go early because if you want to organize your whole trip, you got to have that Antarctica piece figured out. You know, we get a lot of people who wait for last minute and then they have to rebook flights and they have to readjust what they were going to do because they already had other things. If you like to plan and have things organized, it's a better way to go for sure. You have to be a person that has just sort of a blank slate to wait for that last minute.
Another misconception I would love some clarity on from you, because like I said, you are the expert. People think that at that 4-6 month mark that you mentioned, they think that if they see the discount for 30%, they're so certain that they're going to see it for 50% closer to departure.
Well, that's a great one, Neil. The reality is that 30% people will jump on it. And so that 30% is there to avoid the 50% off, right? So if they can find enough people to book at 30% off, they don't have to go to 50. And that's a lot better for, you know, the ship company. So I think that they've found a recipe and know that they have people who will buy at that price point. And, you know, we had a couple companies this season, they basically didn't have any last minute deals because they'd had some 20 to 30% discounts in this fall, I guess, before the season. And then they were done.
You absolutely said it perfect, that they found the recipe. I don't think these companies are going to put out any deeper discounts closer to departure than you're seeing at that 4 to 6 month mark. That really is, I think, the sweet spot. Maybe you'll see an additional 5%. At the very most, you might see an additional 10%. But let's consider this. One,
they're going to hold it. They're just going to hold it strong.
And if you're, because even up to the last minute, people are still booking at 30% because it's still a very good deal. And there is so much demand for Antarctica right now that they know they're going to fill it. We're seeing departures sold out 2 months, 3 months in advance now. And that's another point. We still see people saying, oh, I'm just going to go to Ushuaia and try and get a deal. People, I want you to understand something with me. Sarah has an office in Ushuaia. How many people walk in your door every day looking to get a deal leaving in the next couple of days, and you have to tell them, sorry, there's nothing?
We get people walking in almost every day looking for the deal to leave as soon as possible. And most of the time, I'm going to tell you, I've got a deal, but you got to wait 10 days to 2 weeks. Sometimes I say, I don't have anything. People this year were very surprised by the prices that we had for those last minutes. Freestyle's there. We're waiting for you. We will help you get on a ship. But the old days, you could come to Ushuaia, book a trip and leave. Not the same day, not the next day. That's another one. People think they can just go. There's paperwork involved. You got to get your travel insurance. So it never was a walk in the door and go kind of thing. But you could book and go a few days later. And that's just not the reality, and hasn't even been in the last few years, unless you just get super lucky.
I remember I would get off the ship in between departures. I would come to the office. I would have a cup of coffee. Somebody would walk in and they would say, hey, I'm looking to leave for Antarctica in the next day or two. And you'd be like, sorry. This is like 5 seasons ago. Yeah. You're like, sorry, we don't have anything. And on top of that, Ushuaia is not as cheap as it was years ago. It is not a cheap place to be anymore. It is actually quite expensive. You're looking at a hostel is like $40 a night at a hostel these days. So you're going to spend more money sitting around waiting than if you had just booked a little bit early.
Well, it's something I've been trying to get our email listserv of people to understand is that when I send out deals and I say private deals, these are the deals. This is as good as it's going to get. So if you book it now, maybe it's 2 weeks before the trip, it's not going to drop again before the departure. So that's what's really changed is you can book these deals. Maybe they're not public, but you can book these private deals via email, with me, with ATG, and then you can make your way to Ushuaia. If you come to Ushuaia, you're going to find the same prices that I sent you via email. There's not some magic deal waiting at the pier, that you're going to get when you're there in person. People are like, I'm going to go down to the ship and knock on the door. That doesn't exist either.
You're literally not allowed to walk in there.
Exactly. There's port security. And I mean, I'm all for people looking for a good deal, right? I am here to help. But there are just some things. We've done this a long time. We're going to be honest with you. There's some things you can do and some things just don't exist.
And then on top of that, the longer you wait, the worse your cabin location is going to be. You're going to have no activities to participate in. You're going to have more expensive flights and all that kind of stuff. Now, I want to reel this back in for a second because I do not want people to think that we're completely knocking the last minute market. I think that the last minute market is an outstanding opportunity for a budget conscious traveler with a lot of flexibility. The thing we're trying to emphasize is that the last minute market is not 1, 2, or 3 weeks before departure. The last minute market now happens 3 to 6 months before departure. The deals that you're seeing at 3 or 6 months out are the same deals you're going to see if you show up in Ushuaia. There is absolutely no sense in waiting. Now, caveat, little asterisk to it. There are those hidden gem, little star. There are these very, very, very rare hidden gems that pop up from time to time. These trips are usually private charters, foreign language trips, or trips that nobody wants to be on. They're super distressed sailings.
Now, Neil, wait. So as Neil said at the top, we pride ourselves on being great deal finders at Freestyle. We do a lot of work. We are seeing, earlier booking. There are last minute deals. They do happen. They do come out, but there are not many spaces. There are not many departures. It's just limited. So if you have an idea of what that trip looks like, it may not fit into what's available last minute. I think that's the big thing.
I think if you're a solo traveler and if you're budget conscious and you have a lot of flexibility, you don't care how you're going there, you don't care how you're getting there, you just want to go, last minute, hell yeah, that's a very good option for you. If you are in a group, if you are with a family, if you have more than 2 people, I don't think that it's a good option because often when there are last minute spaces, it's we have 1 male space or 2 female spaces or whatever the case may be. And there are people who are coming and they're in a couple or they are a group of friends and they want a last minute deal. There's probably not going to be the space. And if there is, you're probably going to get split up, which is fine for some people, but not for everybody. Something to consider is your group sizing as well is very important.
I think when we message people and we say there is limited space availability, they're probably thinking to themselves that we're just trying to instill FOMO. We're not kidding. There is really only a few spaces left. A lot of these deals, Sarah, we get a lot of people who send us a screenshot of one of your emails or something, and we do the exact same thing. 1 female space available for this discount, right? Prices as low as...
Can't find spaces on a ship. I can't event cabins. I can't create new berths. People are saying, just find a spot. That's not how it works. These are small expedition ships. They have limited cabins. They have limited beds. And so a female bed is a female bed. I can't stick a person on the floor or put someone in the sofa.
Right.
That's just the way it goes.
Yeah, and we also can't randomly mix. If it's a female space and you're a male, we can't put you in that cabin. That's just not how it works.
Mm-mm.
And then let's talk about cabin spaces. What about when you're a solo traveler who wants a solo cabin?
Oh, my
People
Lord.
want last minute deals
Tough
for that
one.
too.
Oh, man.
Possible.
Oh,
I'm
my
so
goodness.
sorry. That is not going to happen, right? Solo cabins in Antarctica are a big challenge, you know, at any moment of booking. But for last minute, chances are even worse because they want to fill the ship. They want to fill beds. And so they're not going to leave a dedicated single when they can get two people to pay for a last minute deal. So if you want to go single, look for an early dedicated single discount. The last minute single chances are super low.
I think we had maybe 2 last minute solo spaces this entire season.
When people message us and say like, oh, I'd like a trip with no single supplement. We did see that during the bird flu season. We saw crazy no single supplement deals. That's the other thing. We talked about COVID. We even talked about the bird flu season, which also set a really tough precedent for us because the bird flu season, nobody wanted to go to Antarctica at all because they didn't think they could be able to land. They made the announcement, but that they're not going to be closing the landing sites. So ships were desperate to fill last minute, and we were getting like crazy no single supplement deals. We were getting crazy last minute deals. That's now over with. So we do see from time to time, we do see deals that say no single supplement. Those are very much leaning in the early bird market these days. So
Absolutely.
let's talk a little bit more about the early bird market and its benefits as well, because we see ships releasing their schedules about 18 months before the season, some a little bit earlier, some a little bit later.
This year we were getting trips 2 years out for the first time. You know, we were getting trips the 27, 28 Antarctic season. We started getting at the beginning of the 25, 26 season. So it's really pushing towards booking in advance.
And what I think is that when those trips are just released, a lot of them do like launch discounts, like early bird, usually somewhere 10, 15% off. That's the very first initial offer that we usually see with early bird, somewhere around 10 or 15%. This gives the opportunity for a lot of group trip providers like Gate One and Road Scholar to secure a lot of space early for their group trips. And then I think that the high in demand sailings like base camp trips, Circle Crossing trips, South Georgia trips, they'll get a huge rush of early bookings at that rate. And then the companies, like you said, with dynamic pricing, will start to see what's a distressed trip and what's not a distressed trip, which one's not selling as well. And then they'll start to put a little bit more generous discounts on those. And those discounts might be a year in advance. We were getting 25% off deals a year in advance. That lasted for 3 weeks because we filled a whole bunch of space at 25%. And the company was like, okay, we can pump the brakes a little bit. We got back to a nice capacity number. And then they're going to drop it down to like 15%.
We have 25% off. We have some early bird 25% off for 2027, 2028. You know, with my team, we were saying, I think we have some better prices for 27, 28 than we do for the upcoming season that already is looking pretty full. So which is unthinkable that our team would even look at that this far in advance, but it's happening.
I mean, think about it from you're a business owner. I'm a business owner. Think about it from their perspective, right? The longer it takes you to fill your ship, the more marketing you need to pay for, the more stress it is. There's a lot of planning that goes around it. So the companies are just ready to just fill these trips earlier and close the booking on it and then just move on with the rest of the season and start focusing their efforts somewhere else. So there's definitely an incentive for these companies to do an early bird market. What I'm trying to sum up is that you don't necessarily need to decide now when you want to book. But what I will stress and I will emphasize is that the second you decide that you want to go to Antarctica, you should be in contact with a travel agent like myself or like Sarah or whoever you choose to want to go with. There's plenty of other really nice agencies out there. And I would start the conversation with them now because you're going to get on their mailing lists, and those mailing lists, you're going to start seeing some offers. And now those offers will, first off, they're going to give you a really good overall picture of the season that you're looking to go into. But also you're going to be speaking to people like myself, my team, Sarah's team, that are telling you, hey, this is a really good deal. We're here to get you the best deal possible. We don't like to upsell people expensive deals. It hurts. It hurts our feelings just as much as it does our clients' feelings when we sell them a deal. Everybody loves a good deal. But if we get a deal and then 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 10 weeks down the road, it gets a little bit cheaper, we feel really bad about it because we want to get you the best deal possible. Another thing that people are a little concerned about is that if they book early bird, that they're going to see that deal go on a discount down the road. And it happens. And I think that everybody needs to anticipate that happening. That discount may or may not be significant. Usually it's probably not. It's only a few percent here and there. But in the terms of how much these trips are, that is a significant amount of money. And a lot of people ask that if they can get the refund or they can get the price difference. And across the board in the industry, it's pretty well established that companies are not going to give you a refund or a discount of the difference. That's not the case. No company I know of will do that.
It's like an airline. They're not going to do that.
Yeah. But there are certain things when you're working with a travel agent, we keep an eye on these things. We will usually advocate to sort of maybe get you an onboard credit, or maybe we can get you a cabin upgrade if it's really a significant difference, something like that. I have seen if people make a booking and then really soon after their booking, the price goes down. I have seen slight adjustments, but 6 or 7 months out, you're not going to be getting a price reduction or a refund. But we can usually, not all the time, maybe negotiate a cabin upgrade. Have you seen that, Sarah?
Okay. Yeah, same with us. If somebody were to book in and then a deal came out afterward, we would try to get them an upgrade or do what we could. But it's not that common. It really isn't. You know, if you're booking at 25-30% off, you've picked your trip, you've locked it in, likely it's not going to drop more. I know that's the big worry. It's like, I'm going to book now and then it's going to drop. But these discounts that they're putting out there, they're able to hold them and people are booking them. And so they're not having to drop them super deep. And if they do drop them, maybe they're waiting till a week out when they just have a cabin or two and they drop it at the very last minute. And that's just something that, you can't plan for and you don't want to wait for.
Then a lot of times too, the price difference is usually going to be just maybe a few $100, maybe $500. What did that $500 buy you? It bought you cheaper flights, right, most likely. It bought you a better location on the ship. You're not going to be
nicer
stuffed
cabin
in the bow anymore. Nicer cabin.
Yeah.
You might be more mid-ship. You would have had your selection. If you're booking early bird, send your agent a message and say, hey, can I choose a cabin? I'll send you a deck plan. You send me which one you like and I'll request it. If it's available, the companies are more than happy to accommodate. So you get an earlier selection, your cabins. You probably secured your space on an activity that you really wanted to participate in. There's a whole lot that goes involved in it. Don't think about it as my trip got cheaper. Think I got all of this extra benefit for that additional cost that I had to pay. The person who's buying it a little bit cheaper, their cost, they're making up for it somewhere else.
Yeah, that's
Totally
exactly
agree,
what
yeah.
happened to me. I booked my trip last minute, but I booked it, I think, 3 months before. And there were some people who booked it about a month after I did. And I got a cabin upgrade. I had booked a triple porthole room and I wound up in a twin with a balcony, which I was not expecting. I have a video of me just bursting into tears when I walked into the room because I was not expecting that.
That's the freestyle difference.
That I could just mute that whenever I want in the post-processing.
But it is true. Nikki makes a good point.
We would have put you in the presidential suite.
Nikki, if you book a little early and then there's leftover cabins, what do? They upgrade people who booked earlier and they leave the lowest cabins for those last minutes. So it's a really good point.
I agree. Yeah. What they do is that in order to make the ship as affordable as possible in the really, really, really last minute market, this isn't always the case. So don't quote me on this, but they will slide all of their full paying and early bird passengers up a category when it's available to open up those lower category cabins so that they can fill them a little bit easier. That's 100%. Yeah, Sarah, that's a really good point.
So
What about
you're not going to get the presidential suite booking last minute.
Well, hold on. That happened. And I don't want to say it because then people are going to think it's going to happen to them. I was working as a guide on a trip. There was a young couple. They were like 28 or 29 years old. They booked through you and they were in like a twin porthole. And then all the guides on the ship were like, did you guys see that there was like these 28 or 29-year-olds in the presidential suite? They got a random upgrade. We don't know to this day how it happened.
This sounds like somebody messed up, probably.
Yeah.
Probably the cabin they booked was not available. I'm guessing this was a few years ago too, Neil.
Yeah. This is bird flu season for sure. So let's kind of like let's tie this up a little bit. Let's put a little bow on it before we move on.
Let's do it.
So early bird bookings, right? Who wants that? The people who are big planners, life commitment, stuff like that. You are. I'm going to say it out loud. I'm going to say the quiet part out loud. There is a very good chance if you book super early, you're going to be paying just a little bit more than if you waited till more of the last minute market. But along with that comes all of these additional benefits, just the peace of mind of knowing when you're going, knowing that your trip is planned, like is a huge, huge part of it. Cheaper flights, award flights, you're more likely to get better seats on the plane. If you want to fly business class or if you want to fly on premium economy, you got a better chance at those. You're going to be able to have a better choice of your accommodations in Punta Arenas or in Ushuaia, depending on where you're flying out of. You're going to get your choice of activities if you really want to participate in those, choice of cabin, tons of benefits that come along with the early bird booking market. If you're looking at the last minute market, these are some things that you need to consider. One, there's a very low chance that you're going to be able to participate in any of the activities unless you go on a specific trip where they're all included. Things like base camp trips, Terra Nova's all-inclusive trip, Aurora has an all-inclusive trip. These ones are sort of anomalies. The problem is that those trips typically aren't found in the last minute market as much as all the other trips are. So we'll kind of just put another star next to that one. You're going to have a lower selection of accommodations when Punta Arenas or Ushuaia. You're going to not be able to book reward flights as much as you'd like to, more expensive flights, less options just in general. You're not going to be able to maybe pick the ship or the trip or the itinerary that you necessarily want. And then trips like circle crossing trips, South Georgia trips, these are filling up way faster than we've seen in the past. And they're going to have a lot less availability, let alone maybe not even be in the market. And also the last minute market is not 2 or 3 weeks before departure. My suggestion is, like I said, get on a mailing list. Reach out to both of us because we have overlap in the industry. We work with all the same partners, but there are companies that Sarah works with that I don't. There's companies that I work with that Sarah doesn't. You know, we have private relationships with private charters, stuff like that. So get on everybody's mailing list and just get the deal that works the best for you. Make sure that you're working with somebody who's going to look after you, who's going to advocate for you when things maybe do go and become more expensive. But the best thing that you can do is reach out to somebody and get the conversation started as soon as possible. And if you see a deal that makes sense to you, you can afford it, it's the trip you want, on the ship you want, with the activities available, just jump on it. Don't worry about it getting cheaper down the road. There's a very good chance that you're seeing some of the best deals in the market already, even in the early bird market. And
You're not going to regret it. You're not going to regret it. If you're locking in that ship with that cabin, with that activity, everything you're looking for. I mean, this is a trip of a lifetime. You're going to go to Antarctica once, unless you get the polar bug like crazy people like us, and you go back a lot. You're going to go once in your life, and you want it to be, you know, the trip that you've been dreaming of. So if you see it and everything makes sense and you can make it happen, don't wait, because then maybe you're going to be disappointed that you can't do that activity that you wanted if you wait a couple months.
And I think people are probably thinking that we're trying to upsell them because it's more expensive or something and it's better for us. No, we are here to make your dreams come true. And there is nothing more disappointing when Nikki, tell me about the person that you were working with at the end of, toward the early parts of the season.
Yeah, we had a lot of people who were reaching out to us and saying, oh, I want to go on this trip. And I'd go, cool, this is how much it costs. And they would say, oh, I'm going to wait. And then the trip sells out and then they end up disappointed. Yeah. And it's really hard because, like you said, we aren't here to upsell you. We're not here to get you on an expensive trip. We're here to try to make this once in a lifetime thing work for you. We want to make you happy. That's really and truly what we want. I had a client who booked a kind of last minute deal and it was exactly what she wanted. And there was one female space and she was able to jump on it. And she messaged me after the trip on Facebook with all these pictures of her trip. And she was like, Nikki, you made my dream come true. And I burst into tears in this cafe because I was like, oh, I made someone's life good. That's what we care about.
I see a tear coming down your eye right now.
I'm a sappy woman. I'm a Pisces.
Nikki, also talk to me about payments versus early bird versus last minute. We didn't cover that. Yeah. You ran into this, right? You ran into this when you booked.
Yeah. This is definitely important. If you are someone who is unable to put the entire cost of the trip onto a credit card or to pay for it straight away, please book early. Because when you do a last minute booking, you have to pay for the entire trip right then and there. I booked kind of last minute and it was a very significant amount of money and I had to just throw it on a credit card. And like Neil was saying, I didn't have time to open a new credit card. I didn't have time to hit a good sign up bonus. I just had to throw it on a card and hope for the best. It's a lot of money to just throw down at once. So if you're able to do that, great. But if not, do an early bird booking because then you just have to pay a deposit and you have to make payments over time. But it's a lot more stretched out and it doesn't feel like this gigantic thing.
But also, like, if you need to move money around, like when Sarah sends deals or we send deals at our last minute and we say, hey, we got this one space available. We got to put a hold on it for you.
Mm-hmm.
Last minute holds usually last 24 hours. If you do not have that money in 24 hours, you will lose the spot. And I can promise
It's
you that
gone.
there is a line of people behind you
Yep.
who are ready to jump on that spot also. If you book in the early bird market, I love the early bird market bookings because we do what's called soft holds. And they're the best. I love them because you can send somebody an opportunity. You say, hey, I've got a great trip for you. And they're like, well, I really want to think about it. I just say, hey, look, let's put a soft hold on it. A soft hold is usually 7 days, no credit card information, nothing more than just your name and your email address. And we can hold that cabin for a week. And during that week, we like to kind of do a little bit more research and send you some other offers that are comparative to make sure that we are booking the right trip for you because we've evaluated all of the opportunities. And then if that soft hold, let's say that soft hold, a week comes up and the ship hasn't sold out or anything, we just extend that soft hold for another week. Yeah. It gives you time to sit and think. And if you have to move money around or you have to make payments and, but to split between cards, it's a much more flexible booking process when you book earlier. And this is usually if you're booking from, more than 90 days out or 120 days out, because that's usually when full payments are due on ships. So again, that 4 to 6 month mark gives you all of this time and this flexibility where if you see a trip in an email that works for you, you do not have time to compare it to anything else. You have to be like, that's the one. That's the one that I want.
Right.
And there's a lot of... You gotta be ready to
decide really fast and be sure about it and put down the money and fill out your forms and go. There
is no room for buyer's remorse in those kinds of trips because you see it, you have to pay for it, and you gotta go.
It's like Nikki said, we have people being like, oh, maybe I want that one. Give me till tomorrow. And when they show up tomorrow,
it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, we run into that very, very frequently. And I completely understand wanting to take time to think about it and to sit with it. It's a huge amount of money. It's a massive commitment. Like I don't want to knock that. I don't want to say you have to decide in this exact moment. If you need to sit on it, you're welcome to do so. But you do run the risk of losing that space. And that's happened a lot this season in particular. People saying, oh, let me take the weekend to think about it. Let me take a week. Take that if you need it. But I can't promise you that the space will still be here when you have come to your conclusion. We had one person who they thought that we were making all of this up. They thought that all of these last minute deals were lies because he kept saying, oh, I want this one, but let me think about it. And I would say, okay, you're welcome to do so, but you might lose the space. And then he would take a week and come back and go, yeah, I want it. And I would go, okay, well, now the space is gone.
It was gone 5 days ago, actually.
It's been gone.
It's been gone. Yeah. If you're not a decisive person, maybe last minutes aren't for you either.
Yeah. Another important thing to know about the early bird market, particularly if you're someone who's chasing a good deal and you're budget conscious, I have been looking at the availability for next season. The lower priced trips in the lower tier rooms are already completely sold out for the first 9 trips of the season. So that's something to consider as well. If you want to get a good deal and you want to pay the least amount of money, guess what? So does everybody else.
Yeah.
All of those, the triple rooms on one of the more budget-friendly operators are completely sold out for the first 9 or 10 trips next season.
My team was just looking, actually today, we were looking at the upcoming season and seeing how much it's booked. So I think it's going to be similar or even more so than this year that things are going to book out early.
I think you're absolutely nailed it where you said, you want to book a good deal? So does everybody else. Because no, it's so true because trust me, because people think that they're keyed in on some sort of discount method that nobody else is keyed into. But with the rise of social media, the ATG Facebook group, email lists, meta ads, all this, trust me, there are a lot of people that are keyed in on this. We're not going to say numbers because it's not a competition, but I can tell you that Sarah and I both have tens of thousands of people on our email lists that are all looking for a deal. So if you think that you're going to get this email and then in 5, 6, 7 days later, it's still going to be there, there are plenty of other people. And what you said about looking at next season, I just think the whole market in general has shifted to this early bird booking market. Yeah. I really do. They're booking out. We're usually 50-50 early bird versus last minute. I know you're probably a bit more than that in past seasons, Sarah. Where would you say you have been in the past versus where you are now?
I think our spread has moved a lot more to early bird. But when I say early bird, I mean these deals that come out 4 to 6 months ahead of time. They're still deals. There's still these good prices, but they're not the 10 days out, last minute offer. And I think we've gotten a lot more of those in the last 2-3 seasons post bird flu. It's really been moving in that direction.
It used to be if this was 7, 8, 9 seasons ago, I would say you could just book last minute, 2 months in advance, a month in advance, and get the best deal possible. That's just not really the case anymore.
Well, and I think there's another common misconception that the last minute deal back then was really only out 2 weeks before the ships left. So you had to be flexible to get those really good deals. Then the deals came out a little bit earlier, and now I just think it's extended to a few months earlier in order to get those ships full before, so that the companies, like you said, can have the ship full, plan, everybody else can too, and you're not waiting around trying to fill those spots and finish the ship manifest at the last minute.
There's one myth I want to go over before we do wrap this episode up, and because we're going to do a whole episode on this, and I'd love for you to come back. I was hoping it was going to be you and then the chief commercial officer of another company. There's a big misconception that people think that they're going to get the best deal last minute by messaging the company operators directly. That is not the case. And I want people we're going to cover this in an entire episode, but there's actually I don't want to say strict guidelines, but there's a very understood agreement between travel agencies and the operators that the operators cannot directly sell cheaper than we can sell it because it makes us obsolete. So people are thinking, well, I want the best deal possible. I'm going to email the company or the ship operator by themselves and I'll get the best deal there. I can tell you, we're probably going to get a better deal than they're going to give you.
Yeah. And I do think, Neil, there's ethics involved, but also a lot of the ship operators don't want to be selling these great discounts. They kind of want to separate them from them a little bit. So sometimes you won't be able to get this as cheap from a direct ship operator than I have.
Yeah. It's because they don't want to devalue their brand, right? And
they're private offers. So like they don't even have them. They're not selling them.
They rely on us to fill the ships when they have space that needs to be moved, and they give us really good incentives. And we can offer some additional incentives. If you go to Sarah, you get free rental gear. That's an awesome incentive. There's other benefits. Meet us.
You get to come to our office and hang out. But you know what I think also, Neil? I think that nope, don't know what I was going to say. Mom brain.
Any final thought? I had something on my brain. Maybe it'll come back to me. Do you have any final thoughts on this? I really hope that people are listening to this and thinking to themselves, or at least getting a better idea of when they really want to start pulling the trigger on a trip. Sarah, you got your fingers up. You got a point you want to make?
I just think, I think with all the technology today and how everything's changed, people are like, oh, travel agents are obsolete. But really with Antarctica, I think it's an industry where travel agents are still really important and really valuable, not just from everything that we can help share so that you pick the right trip, but also really the best deals are through agents. So it's not an industry that is like, just booking a Caribbean cruise or something. Antarctica's, it's a different animal.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even need to
yeah, that's
it. You nailed it. It's perfect.
Travel agents are not dead.
No, not in our industry. No, I love getting an email from somebody that says like, hey, I've been doing a lot of research for like 6 or 7 weeks and I've got all this information and I'm trying to figure this out. And I'm like, I could have saved you all of that in 4 emails.
Yeah.
So
just
there's a
keep
lot
in
of
mind,
expertise.
If you're feeling overwhelmed at all the options and when to go and, there's so much out there, that's where we come in. So not only are we going to get you a good deal, but we're also going to help you understand what's the right fit for you and when to go and all those things because, ATG, Neil's whole team's been in Antarctica, mine has too. And there's a real value in talking to a travel agent. I
love when I'll like text you at like 8:00 at night to like ask you something about like, are we going to go fishing and meet up in Patagonia or something? You'll send me a picture with like a mate and your laptop at 9:00 at night and you're answering emails to your clients. You don't get that from the operators. Yeah. We'll save this for a whole other episode. So I guess what I'm trying to just summarize or emphasize throughout this episode is that I believe the early bird market and the last minute market pricing, the margin between the two of those has really closed over the last few seasons. It's not the dramatic difference that we've heard about or we read about on these outdated blogs. I think that you gain so much more value for that little bit more that you might pay in that early bird market versus what you're going to be saving in that last minute market. And I can't stress it enough. The moment you decide that you want to go visit Antarctica, you need to get on a mailing list. Reach out to us. You can reach out to Sarah. Mention it to Sarah that you heard about her on our blog. It's Freestyle Adventure Travel. They're located in Ushuaia. She's got a rock star team. Just say, hey, I heard about you guys on the Drake Shake podcast. I love what you had to say. I'd love to get some information from you. We are not in this competitive, they're another travel agency. Don't reach out to them. Reach out to us. Like that was the whole point of this podcast. It's not meant to be a sales pitch. I really wholeheartedly want what's best for the clients. And like I said, sometimes you get deals that we can't get. A lot of times we'll be working with somebody and I'll email Sarah and be like, I could not find this client anything. Do you have anything for them? So feel free to reach out to us. Feel free to reach out to Sarah. We just want to make sure that everybody here is getting the best deal possible. Get on the email list, start the conversation. And also, like Sarah was saying, the industry is caught up with technology. So is our industry. I have a very up-to-date CRM system. Sarah has a very good CRM system. We make notes in it. When we see deals, we put filters in our system and says, I got this deal. Let me go see everybody in our list who was looking for a deal that matches this criteria. And we'll email you and be like, hey, you're never going to believe it. This deal just popped up. We have 5 beds available. We want to get you on that trip. Start the conversation. We're here for you.
Bottom line, let's go to Antarctica. Yeah. Don't wait. Come to Antarctica. Make the trip happen. It's amazing. There's nowhere else on the planet like it. So a little obvious push for the destination that it is unbelievable.
Nikki, you got any final thoughts over there?
I think there's no right time to book. It's just what's right for you. There's no winning recipe. It's just what works for you, what works for your budget, your mental health, your planning style. You got to figure that out. And then we're here to help. Sarah's here to help. There's a whole bunch of people that just want to make this happen for you. Truly.
Perfect. Wrap it. Pin it. Thank you for everybody who sent in some questions. Again, this episode just ran a little bit longer than we were expecting to, so we're going to keep it kind of short. Stay tuned because every 10th episode is going to be a live episode. We're going to have everybody join the chat. We're going to have a bunch of people in the room with us answering your questions live through the chat function on this platform. So I think we're on episode 3. I've got another 2 that we got to get edited and get out there. So we'll be making an announcement in the ATG Facebook group once we are scheduling that. Once again, thank you everybody for tuning into another episode of the Drake Shake podcast. We're so happy that you guys are listening. We're so happy that you're all tuning in. Please email us any questions, comments, feedback, concerns to info@thedrakeshake.com. Feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about planning your trip. You can visit our website, letsgopolar.com. And if you're not a part of the ATG Facebook group, I highly encourage you to join. Search for us on Facebook. It's the Antarctica Travel Group. I want to thank our guest, Sarah. I'm probably going to text your husband right after this and ask him when we're going fishing next because he's my favorite. Give a big hug
Thanks
to
for
the
having me,
kids.
Neil.
I'm probably going to stop by your office when I'm in Ushuaia next week and come say hi.
Please come say hi. Although the season's
I will.
almost over. It's going to be closing soon.
Nikki, I don't think that we're going to get another episode in before you leave for your trip. You're going to have a great trip. I can't wait to hear all about it when you get back. Other than that, that's our episode today, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in. My name is Neil Drake, and that was The Shake.
If you found today's episode helpful, don't forget to subscribe. Every week, we discuss a new topic in depth. And if you have any questions, feedback, or just want to say hey, feel free to drop us a line at info@thedrakeshake.com. Thanks again for tuning in, and we will see you in the next episode.